Well, it's that time of the month once again where I have to tell you as an NA player what we're going to be getting over here on the NA side of things for the month of October. And let me just say that I'm very excited for this month. It's not like we're going to be drowning in content or anything, but we will be getting a banner that I am very excited for, potentially a second one depending on how my summons on the first banner go, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I'm also excited, and this has nothing to do with the NA side of things, but JP is finally going to be moving on. The summer event that has been there for like 55 days. Can you guys believe it has been 55 days since someone like CL has dropped over on the JP side of things? That is finally going away. I mean, it's enough to drive somebody a little bit stir crazy. I need to see some new servants, some new buffs. I just need to see some new stuff over there on JP. I'm starting to lose my mind over here. But then again, I also need to hope that I'm not going to get absolutely obliterated by Sony Pictures, but that's a different problem for another day. I mean, as long as they don't say anything about me being able to cover new servants over there, we should be all good. But that is not what this video is about. This video is going to be talking about, again, all the things that we're going to be getting over on the NA side of things. And we have a decent chunk of stuff that we're going to be getting this month. So what do you guys say we just start getting right into this, starting off with the first thing that we should be seeing in about a week from now, and that should be the Halloween event. This is going to not only bring the small little baby man Elizabeth, which if you don't have a pretender by this point will be good for all players, as she will be a free-to-play pretender. Not the craziest DPS we've ever seen. It's not like she's this phenomenal godsend free-to-play, like say someone like BB, who as a free-to-play moon cancer is just absolutely insane, but she's good enough to get the job done, and you can use her for the 90++ for this event. I know I had to do that myself when this event originally came out on the JP side of things. I didn't have Koya and Skya, so it got very face card, intensive. It kind of required me to really get specific cards, but then at the same time, I wasn't able to max out her skills because, go figure, I was low on QP. So if you're also just kind of wondering, oh, will I be able to do the 90++ for this event? If you don't have Koya and Skya, don't have Oberon, take it from me. It is possible, but it might take a little bit of good RNG and luck to get through it using the Elizabeth, but you can always use other servants to go into this. The main gimmick for this event is that you're going to be sending out your servants over on Mount Lee to effectively just go grab your resources. It's probably one of the easiest of these kind of just free login and grab stuff, because for the Rikyu event, you actually had to farm for the little tea concoction recipe things. This one, you just throw your guys out there, and the whole gimmick is the more leveled they are, the more points you get back. Woo, so if you have your servants leveled up, you're getting rewarded, which I'm assuming is all of us, right? I mean, there would be nobody watching my videos that would have unleveled servants. I mean, who would do such a thing? I myself would never get caught with my pants down having unleveled servants, especially on my main NA account. Me, never. So if I 100% have every single one of my servants leveled up, then you should have them leveled as well, and at least maybe be preparing using some of the campaigns that we've had going on for the Road to Lost Belt 7 to level up some of those additional servants you might have. I mean, it's not like they're all getting the craziest EXP bonus, but hey, if you just need to level up Caligula or something, I mean, get that guy leveled. Now, I did also include this in my notes for this event, but yes, this is the event where we get the Consort U CE, where she has the absolute dumpy on her for that CE. It's not like it's the craziest CE of all time. I mean, it is fine. It's good enough as is, but ever since we got this over on the JP side of things, I have seen NA players just every now and then kind of fiending over this CE, so just letting you know it's coming out with this banner. So, more reason to go summon for your girl, Huyan. Is she the craziest servant of all time? Not particularly, but is she really cute? Yeah, so look, you can get a really cute, quick servant, propping up that quick agenda, and then you could also get an absolute banger CE. Now, aside from that, it's just going to be a normal standard event. It's fine enough as is, it's enjoyable enough. I'm kind of excited myself to read it so I can actually get some deets on Huyan, because when she initially dropped over on the JP side of things, not a whole lot of people cared for her until we all found out that she kind of just turns into, putty in your hands as soon as you throw a compliment her way, and then everybody was like, oh my goodness, this might be the most adorable servant of all time. So I'm excited to go ahead and read the event and find out when that happens, as someone who is excited to summon for this servant. Now, after that, we should be getting the main interlude for Imaginary Scramble, which realistically is just resources and Saint Quartz, because do remember that as, you know, a main interlude is going to have a decent chunk of, you know, missions to go play through, so you can get some Saint Quartz for that. But there's also going out and fighting like the jellyfish, the whales, and all that stuff, which does take a fat minute. There are quite a few of them, but I think it's more enjoyable than going through Oku. Oku is literally just tapping simulator for the most part, just trying to find your way through the labyrinth. It also gives you free stuff, but hey, at least you get to fight some of these fish, right? And some of them have these little mechanics for you to get around, although the game will tell you which support servant to bring, because, you know, you got people like Raiko, for instance, the Lancer version, who if you bring her to certain fights, it's like, oh, it'll negate their 99% damage reduction. You don't have to read the wiki or anything for it. The game will literally say, hey, we recommend you bring this servant, or hey, we recommend that you use Saber Fran, you know, the swimsuit version of her. So you don't have to deal with any minutia that the bosses are going to be throwing your way. But again, regardless, when this does drop, it's probably just going to be for a lot of players just going through, finishing the event again. At the very least, you don't have to farm for like the radar points or whatever. You can kind of just speed run through the event, which is why I also find it a little bit more enjoyable than going through Oku, because Oku is really hard to speed run through. This one is just like tap, 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 just find where the fishes are, you know, beat them up, then get out of there. You know, it's a bit easier than going through loading screen. Maybe that is what it is for Oku. Maybe it's just there's infinite loading screens in between trying to go through areas, whereas this one is just like go in, fight that guy, be on your way. But regardless, it'll be a decent bit of Saint Quartz and a decent chunk of mats you'll be able to get for doing this event. Highly recommend you don't forget about doing that, especially if you want to go summon for Van Gogh, who I do think is actually worth considering rolling for, just because of how insane her NP is. You can almost, and this is going to sound like blasphemy for some people, but you can almost disregard her skills, as good as they are, and just look at her NP. That in and of itself might just be worth summoning for. I mean, Van Gogh was also the reason that a lot of foreigner type servants are just being propped up, because it's like, well, this foreigner servant might not be the craziest guy, but they can be used with Van Gogh because they have that existence outside the domain passive, which just means they get a free 100% crit damage buff just for Van Gogh existing around them, right? Like, her NP has to be one of the best NPs in the game. And that's even just not looking at her skills. Her skills are kind of nutty in and of themselves. In fact, I might just go ahead and do another video on Van Gogh when she does come around, because I think she actually is worth considering. Now, do keep in mind, it's probably more worth to go for the Castoria, the Koyenskaya, the Oberon that come out at the end of the year. But if you have extra Saint Quartz and you really like just obliterating bosses, you really never want a boss to look at you funny ever again, you summon for Van Gogh and you just smack them upside to the next dimension, literally, because she's a foreigner. And you just never got to worry about bosses ever again, unless they're going to be annoying and remove your buffs. But hey, isn't that pretty much most teams struggle with that? Unless I guess you're using Semiramis or someone like a Rashkigal. But that's besides the point, different topic for a different day. Then we move over to what I consider to be one of the most just bloated banners that we're going to get. It's going to be the Singularity Repair support campaign, where they just basically roll out a banner for each and every one of these different singularities, and it's just a bunch of servants you're not going to summon for. I mean, it's nice that Jalter comes out, you know, she comes back around, but it's at a really, really bad time for her. So unless you're like me and you're like trying to NP5 Jalter at some point, you're probably going to skip out on this banner. She's pretty much the main selling point for the intro bit. Banner number 2 has Waver on rate up, which is like, dog, you should have picked up Waver for free. I don't know who's going to get fooled by this, unless maybe you went ahead and picked Tamamo and then you're going to try to summon for Waver. But even then, instead of going for Waver, you could just go for Castoria at the very end of the year. The Okeanos banner, I really don't even think is really worth talking about or considering. Same thing for the London banner. You could maybe try to make some type of argument for the America banner, because Ku Alter is very good as a solo servant, but enough for you to summon for, just with Kukulkan also coming back around. You know, we got Tets coming out, we have the collab coming out in April. Again, the most broken supports in the game are all coming back around as well. Are you really going to go for them? If you are a staunch quick defender like myself, you may consider the 6th banner that's going to be bringing Dante's. Dante's is very good, especially because he has his buff. So not only does he have that fat NP gain, but he also has a 50% battery, plus the buff of having Ruler Scotty in the game. Again, if you are a huge quick defender like myself, this might be the most enticing one of these banners to go for, because Dante's is still absolutely phenomenal if you want to use him as your main looper. But then we go over to the 7th banner. I mean, Ozymandias is all right, but he's literally on every single banner. Like, I just don't think it's a very good idea to go summoning on some of these banners that just have dudes that you could randomly get spooked by as you're summoning. I mean, Kets, I like using Kets as much as the next guy. Don't think she's worth going for, considering some of the other insane units that we're going to be getting. But then again, on the last banner, we also have waifu bait with them throwing Masashi out there, and I know that's going to get some people as they bring out all the 1.5 servants. So yes, I understand, you know, Jalter's coming back around, Masashi's coming back around, and you're perfectly within your right to go ahead and summon for them. They are strong units. In fact, Masashi herself is getting a buff for this. They're actually buffing the dual hit skill, so now it lasts for 3 turns, which makes a world of a difference, as well as also giving her a little bit of DR for the, you know, the next couple of turns whenever she pops the skill. So that's very, very strong for her. But again, you know, if you want to go for those really high impact units, you got the supports at the end of the year, and then you also are going to have some insanely strong DPS servants coming out towards the beginning of the year, kind of really non-stop for the rest of next year. Because I started thinking about it, I was like, oh, well, yeah, there's like Kukulkan, there's Tets, and then, oh, well, then I guess we have the Lilim Harlot servants with Draco and Tiamat. Then there's the Summer servants that are all really good. And then I was like, huh, well, then we also have Kenshin that comes out, and she's also really, really good as a DPS. And Wangina is also pretty strong when she comes out. So if you have to go for the waifu over meta, don't, you know, take it from me. I understand. I've gone for the NP2 Jalter. I'm slowly trying to get her NP3'd, but if you're not me, try to hold off. And then finally, we should be ending the month with Advanced Quest 10. Advanced Quest 10 is not too bad. As per usual, when this does come out, I will go ahead and drop a video with a guide, and I'll be showing the background gameplay of how I won it. The first one is against a couple of different knights that you're going to be fighting, and it's one of those stereotypical, like, okay, just navigate through their effects, take out certain ones at certain times. It's just kind of easy stuff along those lines. The Fion one is kind of just a standard, more like normal challenge quest, I would kind of consider it. This one is actually kind of fun to go up against. And ironically enough, I know he's a Lancer, but you can get away with using somebody like Uriel against him, or really any female servant that does do stun. I think I did actually use Uriel on my JP, because every time you charm this guy, he's going to be losing some of his HP stacking, which can make this fight very annoying. And so you can just kind of bombard him with Uriel NPs, especially because he does have, I believe it's his second skill, that reduces his charm resistance specifically. And then he also does take more damage from female servants, which is very, very nice. Although keep in mind, it's only their command cards. So essentially, just remember, Fion is a simp, go after this guy with female servants, and you'll be perfectly fine. And then finally, there's the Kiyohime one, which I'm pretty sure I just obliterated her because she has 30 stacks of invincibility, but I think I just ran in there and kind of just punched her really hard and went about my day. Do just keep in mind, you can't, like, turn 1 run in there, at least not with a standard account, because if you go in there with Pierce Invincibility, she will give herself defense up to kind of circumvent that and make you just wait 3 turns. But you could always bring Pierce Invul and Pierce Defense, which, I mean, is somebody like Dioscuri, I guess, if you summon for them with the last campaigns we had, or I guess if you have a really, really just strong yoked Kiara, you know, you could take her out that way. Just also keep in mind that she has big NP damage up, and Kiyohime does not like other women, and so she will obliterate your other women. So just keep that one in mind. But with all that being said, that should be everything for the month of October, unless we get a random curveball. But I mean, like, they already did the back to school campaign, and October's a little bit late to kind of throw another curveball related to that in any way. Again, it'll probably be a fine month over here on the NA side of things, but realistically, we're all just waiting for the Lotto to drop next month, and then we're all also waiting for Lost Belt 7 to finally drop, so we're kind of all just here twiddling our thumbs, just waiting for that. Thankfully, JP should start giving us some new content so we can have something to tide us over a little bit while we're waiting for that lottery, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel, as I'll make sure that you are informed on all things going on both versions of the game. And hey, if they do throw us a curveball, I'll be right here to let you know what's going on. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice one, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace. Late, guys.